They say crochet is the new black. What do you think?
Hi there, I'm Nancy from Black Sheep Knitting in Needham, Massachusetts. You probably just saw this picture of my friend Anna, who used to work here, and me in our crocheted sweaters. We had a blast at Rhinebeck. We saw unbelievable yarns, beautiful. We spent the first day, I should say, at Indie Untangled and Cake Palooza. And those are two venues where there are indie dyers who, and other, there were other vendors selling other knitted related items they were just beautiful. And I think some of the reason that I enjoyed it so much is that it wasn't quite as crowded as Rhinebeck is. And there's nothing you can do about that. But Indie Untangled was at a horse show ground. It had long, one was a long tent, another one the other two I think were long sort of open barns. But they were well spaced out, the vendors, and so you could see them. And I think we found and that's where I did buy yarn, and I can show you. This I bought from a woman, she calls herself Fantastic Farm, and this is a worsted organic merino. And she was wearing a sweater, actually with her hand spun, and it was a cardigan, but it was done in a yarn like this, and it had a big white band and a big white ribbing at the bottom. The ribbing at the bottom was kind of a different design. Maybe I can get Robin to post a picture of it. Anyway, I just fell in love with it, and she had gorgeous buttons that she'd picked out one of the colors in the variegated yarn, and they were all the same size, but they were all different, and it was really stunning. So I bought enough of a sweater for a sweater. Now, mind you, I could easily just shop around the store and find something equally as nice, and I could do it with that. But there's something about going away and buying yarn that's kind of fun. So because I own a whole shop full of yarn, I don't need to buy anything anywhere else. But it's the fun of doing it and the fun of planning. So this I bought at Cake Palooza, and then this one I bought at Indie Untangled, called Ballyhooura Fibers from Ireland. And this is a Surrey and silk mix, and this is a superwash sock, and I'm going to hold them together to make an uncomplicated, probably pullover in the two. But I kind of fell in love with all the colors in this, and so these are both the colorways are the same, just different fibers, so they're called Killarney. So I'm excited to do that. Anyway, we then on Saturday went to the actual venue at the New York Sheep and Wool Festival in Rhinebeck, New York, and we think there were somewhere between 30 and 40,000 people there, and they were from all over. Robin took pictures, maybe you'll see them, of the license plates, and they were from everywhere. The most striking thing, and you may have seen Robin's posting of people in their Rhinebeck sweaters, which was the framed sweater by Andrea Mowry. And somebody said, why were all those sweaters there? And it's because every year Andrea Mowry designs a sweater specifically for Rhinebeck, and then she publishes it in the summer, and then people knit it and wear it, and then they have a big meetup on a hill there. So the Rhinebeck sweaters were everywhere, and they were in all kinds of different fibers and colors. So it was pretty amazing, and I think if you saw one, you saw 100 at least. And if you want to still make one, we have the yarn for it. We have kits. It's a fun sweater, and it's something you'll, I think, enjoy wearing. We spent most of the day so there are barns that are open on the sides that are quite long, and they're full of vendors. I don't know how many vendors there are in total. And then there are some buildings, I think there are 3 or 4 of them attached to each other, and they also have vendors. And I spent most of my time there because a lot of the vendors that I like a lot are in those, one of which was Bare Naked Wools. There was, Miss Babs was there, although it was very hard to get into her booth because she's so popular. But we do have Miss Babs' yarns here in the shop, and Robin's saying, where are they? There's we have the Yowza, we have Yowza Minis, we have some beautiful, here are some of the gorgeous ones. You may have seen them before, but 2 of these is about, it was over 1,000 yards, so 2 of them makes a sweater for a lot of sizes. I love that one. Wow. Anyway, so there's also food vendors everywhere there, so you can get good, and the vendors are good. You can get a good, we had falafel, it was delicious. They've got ice cream, they've got all kinds of stuff. What else do they have? So there are animals in the barns way in the back. I say way in the back, depends on your perspective and where you're standing. That made no sense. But there were lots of sheep and goats and alpaca and llamas. I'm not sure I saw the llamas, I didn't get that close. But the sheep are adorable, as are the alpaca are my absolute favorites. They're just sweet, they make sweet little noises. I think they're a bit befuddled by the crowds, but they seem to do okay. The indie dyers are just, they're spectacular. It's really, so I recommend it. Here's one that Robin bought, which is from Bare Naked Wools, which is one of, I bought some from them last year. But she has beautiful, I want to say they're undyed yarns. This one is their Targi Tango worsted. I think Robin's going to make a sweater. But they're all in these in sheep colors, in white and dark brown and gray. And she has, her name is Ann Hanson, and she has beautiful, beautiful patterns. And in fact, I bought yarn for a skirt last year that some of you have seen. Haven't finished, that's in my timeout bin. But I will get to it this winter because I really want to wear it. There is one whole building full of foods and teas and whiskey and all kinds of soaps and all kinds of things, maple syrup, things to buy that are really fun. So it was wonderful, and you may have seen the pictures of the place where we stayed. We were overlooking a huge reservoir, you know, like a big lake, and the weather was stunning, and the pictures that we took were amazing. So I recommend it to, I mean, I want you to buy yarn in my shop, of course, but to go for the experience is fun. And even if you don't like crowds, you can go to the Friday events, which are less crowded. And there's always a fun place to eat in and around Rhinebeck. We always find a place to stay, usually 20 or 30 minutes outside of Rhinebeck. So I highly recommend it. It's a beautiful time of year. So I might try to reserve this same place for next year. It was so beautiful. Anyhow, I have some things that are going on in the shop. We're starting the Ruuno sweater, Ruuno, not Nuno, Ruuno sweater knit along. It's down there, Robin. On Saturday with Giovanna. So she'll be here. You can always come and sit and knit on Friday from 3 to 5 or Saturday 3 to 5. And we love to have people. Here's Robin wearing the Ruuno, and it's knit in the Lanalpaca, which is a new yarn from Earth Yarns, and it's alpaca and merino. And it's just this, it's not really a boucle. I don't think it splits up the way a boucle does, but it's a similar bumpy yarn and really fun. And speaking of that, we have this that I think everybody will die to make. It's a cowl with one skein of the Lanalpaca, and we have several colors, and it's called the Teddy Bear Cowl, which this is the cowl. One skein, knits up. I think Beth knit this, and she said it took her 1 or 2 evenings to do, and this would be a terrific holiday gift. You could make a bunch and make them for your friends. Has a little bit of a ribbing here, then plain stockinette knitting in the round, and then ribbing at the bottom. So if you want this yarn and you don't want to make the sweater, you've got to do this because it's just yummy, yummy, soft. It's like being hugged by somebody. I had another thing I wanted to show you, which this was, I should put this behind it. I found this in Garnet Hill magazine, and this is just like, and who knows if it isn't made out of the same stuff. We have Rasta here in the shop that is knit on a size 13 or 15 needle, and there is a sweater called Kingston that would just make exactly this same sweater. So I recommend that if you want, and this is a quick sweater knit. It's obviously heavy, but I found something that I wanted to recommend. I'm trying to find favorite patterns or patterns that I think are really fun. And this one is called Escher's Dream. And if you don't know Escher, Escher he died in the 70s. He was a Dutch graphic artist. MC Escher was his name. And this is the cowl. So it's a very graphic cowl, and it very cleverly changes the, and that's what a lot of his art did, and it kind of fools your eye a little bit. So it starts with the black as the background and then moves into the white, but with the same design. It's just reversed. So I got a couple of yarns out that I thought would be good. It calls for a DK, but you could probably do anything you want because it's a cowl. So it could be a looser cowl, tighter cowl. I did pick out one that I thought would be really nice for a cowl. Is the classic alpaca from Alpaca Yarn Company. And this colorway is Sailor. It's a blue. And then they're white, which is called White House. I thought those would be really effective. You could do anything. It just needs to have enough contrast for it all to make sense. This is Ultra Alpaca. This is Salt and Pepper. And they're white, which I think would be fun. This is a little bit heavier, so if you did this one, it would come out a little larger. And if you were concerned about that, my phone keeps texting me. This is the white and pitch black in Ultra Alpaca again. And then I have vintage, but we have lots of others. I mean, you could do red and white, you could do red and black, you could do almost anything. So, and we have lots of DK and worsted yarns. This is Snow Day with pitch black. So I recommend it. Again, it's called Escher's Dream Cowl. And then I wanted to show you what I'm up to. I'm working on, and I think I showed this to you, but I wanted to show you my progress, the Evendoon Cardigan. And I think for this yarn that I showed you, I may do, imagine this as the body, and then the band here and here, the button band, and then the neck band and the bottom ribbing, all in white with some cute buttons. But anyway, I am doing it in a yarn I got at Rhinebeck last year, and it's a fingering weight targi and silk, and I'm doing it, so that's, I showed this before, but in case you missed it, and with a the Escher silk mohair. And do you think I get tongue-tied? Old age. Anyhow, this is my sweater, and I'm on the first sleeve, and I wanted to remind you that when you do, I'm counting rows. I think it said to do them your decreases every 7 rows, 7 rows, but I think I'm doing 7 or 8. I don't think it matters terribly whether you do 7 or 8, but just, or an inch apart the decreases. But I always put in a stitch marker so that I can see where they are, and so that when I do the second sleeve, I know where they are. And then you can also count how many you've done, and then at the end you're going to count how many stitches. It tells you how many stitches you should have left. So this is going along fairly well, and I'm hoping to finish it soon. But in the meantime, there's a new baby coming in my family, and so I feel like, and they better not be watching this. I don't think they watch my podcast. I'm doing a baby blanket for a little girl, and I'm doing the Chevron baby blanket from Espace Tricot. And what I chose to do, I'm going to start with this pink, and this is the Amano Sammy XL. So it's a worsted weight cotton. It's an organic cotton. And I'm starting with the pink, and then I think I'm going to do 2 rows of white. This will be 10 rows of the pink, 2 rows of this, and 10 rows of this variegated, and then back to 2 rows of white, and then back to the pink again. And it's a very simple, easy, it's really remembering 2 rows. So it's quite simple to do. So I do recommend it. This pattern's been around for quite a while. So I'm hoping to make progress on that, and then I'll get back to my cardigan and a bunch of other things that I have on hold, as we all do. I don't think I have a lot more to say today. Do I, Robin?
Just what you're wearing.
Oh, yeah. What am I wearing? I'm wearing the Tolsta Tee.
Because it's still so
Which,
warm.
and it's, I don't know what it's like where you live. And if you're my friends in Palmer, Alaska, I'm sure it's colder there than here. Here we've still been up in the 60s and 70s, high 70s yesterday. And in some places 82, I heard. So you could still do this. I did this in Zooey, which is a cotton and linen from juniper moon fibers. And it was a fun, quick knit. It's just short sleeves, but you could easily make this long sleeve, and you could use a different yarn. I mean, there are lots of winter yarns that you could use, or another one like this. You could do lino, which is a cotton and linen, silk and linen, cotton and linen, I forget. But for those of you who don't want to wear wool, you could do that. We had a customer come in yesterday who did not want wool because the person they were knitting for was a vegan. Well, I'm not sure what their reasons were for not wanting wool. If the reason they're doing it is because they think it harms the sheep in some way, or that you're taking this wool off the sheep and you shouldn't, that's absolutely untrue. What happens with sheep is they grow hair like dogs, that you have to clip. And they have to be shorn once or twice a year. Otherwise, their coats get too heavy. And there was a story a couple of years ago about a merino sheep that they found in the wild, whose coat had gotten so big and so heavy it was falling over. And imagine if that gets wet, he could fall over even more and then take forever. Although sheep wool has a lot of, their coat has a lot of lanolin, so that it doesn't get into their skin. But they do have to be shorn, and anybody who has sheep knows this and knows that, and that's why we have wool, and wool is incredibly warm, and it's a good industry for a lot of people. And the sheep are not harmed. I've watched lots and lots of sheep being shorn over the years. They don't harm them, and they don't cut them. They don't, they're very good about not hurting the sheep. So if you're vegan and you're not using wool because you think it harms an animal, it doesn't. It's a necessary thing.
Eat it.
You don't eat the fleece. No, you don't eat the fleece. But it isn't, I can understand how someone, I can't eat veal because I think, and now I can't eat lamb because they're babies. I cannot do it. And if I thought more about beef and chicken, I might change my mind. But I understand that totally. But be assured that it's not going to hurt the sheep and that it's a necessary thing. And that's why people did it I won't go into that, why people did it from the beginning of time. But
In another show.
in another show, I might talk about that.
Next week.
I don't know. We'll see. In any case, I'm sorry I wasn't here last week, but I was trying to get stuff ready for going to Rhinebeck, and we were busy here in the shop. So do come in, visit. This is a lovely place to sit and knit, and we love to have people come and visit us. And thank you for subscribing. Thank you for watching. We really, really do appreciate it. And thank you to the people who said hello to me at Rhinebeck. That was very kind of you. And I think that's about it. So we'll see you next week, and happy knitting. Bye.